What's up, Knight fans? Welcome back to another edition of Holding Court with Todd Dagenais. And along with the coach, I'm Jeff Sharon, back from my lengthy trip of a quarter of the way across the globe, where volleyball, of course, is big in the Hawaiian Islands. But it's good to be back, Coach. And from what I understand, you guys had a pretty good weekend this past week. You get the split against the two Houston teams, Rice and the Houston Cougars, but played well in both matches.
Sure. I thought, I'd said in a press release, I thought our team really handled themselves well the entire week of preparation. We thought we had a great preparation week for Rice. Yeah. And, we're settling into some unique lineups that we're trying out, and I just thought we really handled our preparation well. We went out there and we took it like a business trip, and we're able to really execute well against Rice and hold them from doing a lot of things that they're pretty accustomed to doing. And that ends up being a big win for us because I don't exactly know all the stats, but I think it's been a long time. I don't know if we've ever beaten them in Conference USA play, and it may be as far back as maybe 1999 since the last time that we beat them. So that's a big win for us, of course. And to go into the Houston trip and have an opportunity to get a split, that really helps out, especially when we're battling for that trying to get in that upper middle of the pack in the standings.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point, because obviously you get the victory against Rice, you win 11 of the final 13 points in the fourth to take that victory. And the Houston match, you guys played well too. But the thing I wanted to ask you was, even though you come up short in 4, the difference between second place in Conference USA and sixth place, where we are tied for, is very, very tight. How does the play this weekend sort of illustrate that fact?
Well, I think you take a look at Houston, and they're one of the most potent offenses in the conference. Mm-hmm. And we're going to try to slow them down the best we could. But the reality was we just had to go in there, and it was going to be an old Texas gunfight, just try to put up points on the board. And we did. I thought we hit for some astronomical numbers. And I was joking with the coach as we were coming out of the locker room after the second game. I said, Molly, it seems like the first team that plays defense is going to win this match. Because neither team was playing great defense.
Sounded like a UCF Houston football game almost. Yeah,
the offenses were at such a high level. And as it turns out, we had 9 hitting errors in the third set. Yeah. And I don't know if that's so much their defense as it was, we offensively, we just kind of got bogged down a little bit. And so that's the difference right there. Those teams that are second, third, and fourth, they don't have one bad set. They may have a couple of bad points, but they don't have a bad set. We had 9 errors, I think, that set. And, you just can't do that when you're playing one of those top teams. And so, you might be able to do that when you're playing the last place team, but you can't do that when you're playing the number 2 or the number 3 team in the conference. And so really, what's the difference between number 2 and number 6? It's a fraction. Yeah. It's one bad set, or it's when the score is 22-22, you don't make a single error. And it seems more than anything else, that's still our issue, is that we're making some real crucial, inexperienced errors at some real critical junctures of the game. And, we're inexperienced. We're going to be inexperienced for a while. Mm-hmm. And somehow the ball seems to find the inexperienced or the not completely confident person at just the wrong time of the match. Yeah. And it always does. That's the nature of volleyball. You can't grab it. You can't hold it. You can't walk with it. It's going to bounce around until it hits somebody that doesn't have a lot of experience. And all we can do is get those players experience. And so, that's the difference. I mean, their experienced players stepped up and made it very difficult for us to win a set.
Gosh, the margin of error is just so tight in this conference. It's really amazing. Now,
sure. Well, you think about it, and we win 25-22, and that was really the difference of 1 UCF kill and 1 Houston error at the end. And then we lose 25-22, which was the difference of 2 of our errors. One was a ball handling error, and one was an attack error. Third set wasn't really much of a contest. That's where we had 9 errors, and it just wasn't very close. But fourth set, 25-23, that's 1 point. That's a 1-point swing. And so that's how close it is. We're going to play for 2 hours, and 4 points are going to decide who's going to win.
Gotcha. It's so tight. That's what makes the sport so amazing. And now you look at the conference in general now. For example, we were talking about how obviously Tulsa's at the top. UAB right with them, but even UAB just lost 2 in a row to Tulsa and to SMU this past weekend. So, like we said, things just continue to bunch up in that upper half of the conference.
Right. It's no longer a matter of do we know we can compete with the top teams. It was like that for 3 years. It's not like that anymore. We know we can compete with the top teams, but knowing it and then doing it are 2 different things. Doing it and doing it all the time are 2 other different things. And so we're past the are we good enough to do it. to, okay, we know we're good enough. Now we need to get past the we're good enough to do it to we're good enough to do it all the time.
Yeah. Now, when we step out and take a look at the national picture, again, things are starting to tighten up a little bit. The only major change that we saw was that Washington lost. So they fell out of the top 5, and that moved that moved Cal back up to number 2 behind Illinois, who's still undefeated and still number 1 in the country, and USC, who's receiving 2 first-place votes, which is 2 more than Cal is getting, to number 3. So what do you make of that?
I think 2 and 3 right now are really a statistical wash. I mean, you look at they're getting somewhere in the line of 1,300 points, and they're being separated by 5 or 6 or something. That's a wash. So really, it's 1, 2, and 2. But again, Illinois still rolls, and the Pac-10 still continues to fill out the rest of the top 7, and
as they continue to beat the tar out of each other.
Sure, and the Big 12's got a couple in there, and the Final 4 teams are going to come from those 10. There's no doubt about it.
It's going to be fun to see how that shapes up the rest of the way. Now we have a big weekend coming up. We have the split, the home-road split. So we stay at home this Friday against Tulane. That's at the venue, so be sure to come on out for that. And then you go on the road 2 days later to Southern Miss. So you're staying with 2 more Southeastern teams in the conference, so not that much of a road trip. But how does this schedule sort of change your regular scheduling? You get to the pattern of 2 home, 2 away, 2 home, 2 away, and then you have the split. How does that change things for you guys?
Well, when we met as a staff on Monday, we decided we're going to treat this as a road trip. And in terms of our timelines of when we get scouting stuff done, we're treating it as a road trip. Because we just don't have a lot of time on Saturday to prepare for the second match. So we're going to have to prepare for it early as if we were on the road. And so that's how we're going to handle it. We'll get, it's Tuesday night as we're filming this. We'll have the scouting report done for Tulane tonight. We'll start implementing that into practice tomorrow and Thursday. Maybe touch a little bit on Southern Miss on Thursday, depending on how well the team's doing with the scouting report for Tulane. Play the match against Tulane on Friday. Get up, fly to New Orleans, drive over to Hattiesburg, and get a practice in on that Saturday and prepare for Southern Miss. There's a lot more preparation that goes into the Friday match, and especially on road trip week. And that's why it's so difficult on Sundays to have success on the road unless you're physically just dominating a road team. Because you just don't have a lot of time to prepare. And the thing I'm really proud of with our staff and with our kids right now is that we're doing a good job of preparing for matches. I don't know what the number is, but we've won, I think, we've played 20 matches maybe, and we've won 16 first sets. So we're preparing well. And now the next step for us as a group is to have the experience on the court to be able to adjust from those preparations. So I think Eric Peterson does the majority of our scouting along with Michelle Chapman, but Eric primarily does the work. He's just doing such a great job of putting us in position to have a great game plan for the start of a match. And I think as a program and as a team, we need to mature as the match changes so the players on the floor can make those adjustments.
That's going to be fun. Now, one last thing that I wanted to talk to you before we go. So, as you guys probably know, I was in Hawaii for my belated honeymoon last week. And one of the things that I noticed is that, we did some driving around. Obviously, it's the school year over there. And all the boys, after school hours, they hit the football field, they play football. All the girls after school, I saw them out there jogging around with their, Hilo volleyball or Lihue volleyball or Lahaina volleyball shirts. They're all out there running around, getting their cardio in before they go into practice. And I think that's one of the things that we here on the East Coast don't quite appreciate about, how there's a whole other half of the country where volleyball is really taking off. We're starting to see it come more towards the side. We've seen the success of Florida in recent years, more East Coast teams. We see, that, in large part. But, out west, how big is this sport really compared to anything that we see out here, especially on the women's side?
Yeah, well, it's as big as lacrosse is in New England. It's as big as hockey is in Canada. Yeah. It's I don't know how to compare it for people that don't understand it, other than it's just really a big deal. Yeah. And you see it in California. People think that the birthplace of volleyball is nuts about the sport of volleyball. Hawaii is insane. Hawaii volleyball is as close to Canadian hockey as I can make a comparison to. Every little girl grows up wanting to play volleyball. That is the island sport, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a big deal out there, and it's really fun to see great fans. We had a chance to play out there once when I was at Michigan State, and a couple times when I was at Southern Cal. We played in Hawaii, at Hawaii, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 people at the match.
Yep.
Every single match. It doesn't matter if they're playing the #1 team in the country or number 316. The place is packed. And it's really a great atmosphere. And they cheer for both teams.
Mm-hmm.
Something that they do. They cheer for both teams. You make a great play, they'll cheer for you. And they give you gifts. And it's just really a great environment. I would just really wish that everybody had an opportunity to do that just once in their life. You know, play a match against the Wahine out there in Hawaii.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, an excellent trip, and it's also good to be back home and to see UCF volleyball again this Friday, because we are playing, like we said, Tulane at the venue this Friday night. Come on out, check it out. At the venue, tickets, of course, are still available. And like we said, make sure you follow UCF Volleyball on Twitter and UCF_volleyball, and also on Facebook. Coach, thanks once again.
Thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you, and best of luck this weekend on the Split Road Trip. We'll catch you again next week.